Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're talking about the best-selling cards that are $5 or less. This is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Penny Stock Market Watch. We're jumping straight in. Branded opening has creaked its way into the top 6. What is that card doing here? Anyway, the branded stuff was budget. And then the Bistils kind of worked their way out of the format, so the branded stuff kind of made its way back in. This is still probably a very good buy. At the very least, the branded stuff is going to be a fun deck to play around with, to mess around with. Even if your main focus is selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards, even if you don't really go to your locals or anything like that, like you don't even play IRL or anything to that manner, like it's still a cool deck just to have. Because you never know, like maybe all of 2022, 2021, you didn't do anything. Maybe you don't plan on doing anything in 2023, but maybe 2024 you do, and you'll just have this branded deck ready to rock and roll. Or let's say that's just 100% not going to be the case. You're never going to play IRL again. Someone else might have that thought, right? Which is why having these cores are always having cores of decks that people just seem to love to play, like this stuff we haven't talked about in a very long time, because it's kind of fallen a bit by the wayside, because it, just like everything else, has gotten power crept. But like this Eldritch stuff, like this Golden Lord for $2 feels really, really good. And interestingly enough, the Fusion Monster is actually a relatively generic super poly target, right? Because in Eldritch, if you don't know, you can play Zombie World. That does go against certain decks. Don't love that. Like Tri-Brigade, for example, Floandereese. I'm trying to think of a meta deck. Like Sprite, Branded, and Kashtira don't really care about it. Nateria Runic doesn't really care about Zombie World, which is probably why this may have been forgotten. But you're always going to have the Golden Lord on board. You're always going to have an Eldritch monster. And I think... Okay, no, this is Conquistador of the Golden Land. But you're always going to have one on board with Super Poly, with Super Poly plus Zombie World. You can be in a situation where your opponent summons a Fenrir, and you flip up Super Poly, get rid of your Golden Lord, get rid of their Fenrir, this wouldn't be the best use of it, but then you can summon this card, right? And this card's not terrible at 3,800 attack, can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. It's just always been really hard to summon in this specific Eldritch deck. And I don't really want to talk too deep into Eldritch because it's not in the top 24 best-selling cards, like Super Heavy Samurai. But it's still a really solid deck, just like Branded, right? So just having those cores, because you never know. You never know when people are going to randomly want to start picking it up. 2, something happens with the ban list to where they become really good again. Or 3, Konami's randomly gives it support, right? But we gotta talk about this card. We gotta talk about this card. As soon as I saw it, like, what is this? What is this doing? I would assume. Okay, I don't follow the OCG like that. Like I know some people do. Everything that I have been like, that doesn't make any sense, has been due to the OCG. I guess we can look it up right now. OCG deck lists, Yu-Gi-Oh! Super Heavy Samurai, SHS. I guess I could have gone to MCO 40. MCO 40 and Lithium 2300 do actually a really good job of covering the OCG. That's the only thing I can think of. Because this isn't even like... This is not even the only printing. I guess there's 2 common printings from a relatively long time ago. Wow. Something may have gotten announced as well. I used to run I deleted it, but I used to run a channel on all the new cards ever. I gotta get to the bottom of this. I gotta get to the bottom of this. This is gonna bother the heck out of me. It's new Super Heavy Samurai support. They're getting a new Synchro Monster? This is from a while ago. Has this already come out? Cyber Storm Access. When is that? Is that coming out soon? Is that what's going on here? I'm literally learning this with right alongside. You guys might be watching this at home. It's like, how does he not know this? Of course, this came out already, and it's coming out. So follow Photon Hypernova in the OCG. So it's probably the next thing, right? That's coming out. I guess we can go here too. And I'm sorry if this is all review, and you guys know why Super Heavy Samurai Soul Piercer is the top 10 best. Well, this version is the top 10 best selling card under $5 in all of Yu-Gi-Oh. But if we go here, I believe booster packs is what we're looking for. Upcoming Cyberstorm Access is coming in a month. Is that it? I guess I haven't looked at the support, nor am I going to. Like, until Super Heavy Samurai get like a field spell that allows it to buy. The thing is like, gimmick decks like this just don't work. Even in Duel Links, where Super Heavy Samurai had its moment to shine a little bit, this card's broken in Duel Links. It still was never like the best deck ever, because there's just this huge restriction, and this card doesn't have it. But one of those four definitely does. Well, I guess this card doesn't have it. This card has been bought out. This card, there's no Mega 10 versions. But this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is. Well, let's talk about this before we talk about the restriction of Super Heavy Samurais, right? Because I've never talked about Super Heavy Samurais on this, I don't think, channel ever. This is what happens when you attempt a buyout with Super Heavy Samurais. Let's see the sales history. This has been $4.95 actually for a while. I just think, okay, if you want, you can go ahead, buy all 37 of these, right? And this isn't even with the card we're talking about, Soul Piercer. We're just talking about Super Heavy Samurai Scales. But you can buy all 37 copies of Scales. Let me get rid of that real quick. For $183. And in hopes of it going to $10, you selling it at $370. The problem is that slowly make our way back. There are going to continue to be people who undercut the price because they're trying to make a quick buck. It is going to be so hard for this card to reach like $5, and it is going to be so hard for that card we were just looking at, Torn Scales, to reach $5, because so many people have so many of these. Like, this is one of the better Super Heavy Samurai cards, right? This, and I know this card has the restriction that I'm talking about, where it says, if you control no spells or traps in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot special summon the rest of this turn except for Super Heavy Samurai monsters. If this card is distributed for a tribute summoned and sent to the graveyard, you can special, and you have no spells or traps in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. And this card also has just recently kind of started to move up in price. And maybe the new stuff, because I don't think Big Benki says that right now. Maybe some of the new Super Heavy Samurai stuff is going to allow this deck to play with spells and traps. But even at that point, this deck does interact a lot with the graveyard. It has a Link monster that came out 2 years ago. 1 second. This gives material while you control. While you have no spells or traps in your graveyard, you take no battle damage. If you have no spells or traps, you discard one monster target Super Samurai in your graveyard. Special summon it. To zone this card points to. Has this gone up too? This has gone up too? A part of me wants to read. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'll be right back. I'm going to read it. I'm not going to do this in the market watch. Bro, this is terrible. This support is terrible. Okay. It's not. Oh, terrible is a bad word. Terrible is a bad word. Some of this support is okay. I don't get it. So I know how this is going to go. I know I'm going to say, don't get this stuff. Don't buy it. It's a bad buy. Someone in the comments are going to go, it's a good buy. You don't know how good it is. It's doing so many great things. I love Super Heavy Samurai. And hey, what do I always say? This is the number one thing that I say on this channel every single day. Don't care how many people view it, as long as one person hears it. And even if that one person's me, I don't care. Never let somebody tell you what to buy, what not to buy. I personally would be selling all of my Super Heavy Samurai stuff if it had it. Actually, I would probably wait at least a month for the Cyberstorm Access to come out, because that's probably when this stuff will be at its peak. And if you want to play that game and you go, well, I don't think it's good stuff to buy either, but I want to buy it now so I can sell it, you know, when Cyberstorm Access comes out and it gets a random regional top 64 or something like that. Even though I don't really think this deck is good enough to win a regional. This deck might, get top 64 at a regional. This deck might be good enough to get top 4 at a bad locals. Like no meta allowed. You can't play Macrocosmos and take your opponent's spots away. You can't play one card starter level 2 dot deck. You can't play one card 15 fusion monster deck. You can't play Nat Beasted deck, which I guess Materia Runic. No, Materia Runic is really good against this deck. A lot of decks are really good against this deck, because this deck can't run really good spells and traps. This deck, so what that does is two things. One, it completely eliminates any good spells or traps you can run, like Dark Rule No More or Lightning Storm. And two, it completely contorts your deck building process. And so you have this 40 card deck with maybe 2 Galaxy Cyclones and a skill suppressor, or there's there's a trap card, it's Beyond the Grave or Beyond the something that does something to the effect. I don't remember all the cards that banish themselves from graveyards. And the thing is too, it would be cool if this deck could play around the if you control no spells or traps in the graveyard by playing a Macrocosmos or a D-Fissure. But even just look at this card. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, so it can't do that either, right? So there's really just no good way to run this deck in a competitive fashion. We just had 3 YCSs a couple weekends ago. This deck will do nothing at every YCS for the rest of all eternity. But if you think it's a good buy, don't let me stop you. Don't let your dreams be dreams. You go crazy. We might bump into another Super Heavy Samurai. I'm not ready for it. But if we do, we'll do what we can. You guys let me know, though. I mentioned this, I think, a month or so ago. There's no way I could know what the collective comment section can know, right? So I feel like I know a relatively good amount about Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Market, but there's no way I know more than 10, 50, 30 people, right? And that's really what I want my comments to be. It's just an open forum on all that type of stuff. Let's take a look at this card real quick, because this is I thought this was the Tri-Brigade one. This is just a generically really good card. Obviously, you need to run Fallen Volbast. But this is actually a really solid card. it can activate during your opponent's turn. And I think the main reason why this card is here, yeah, it did just recently sneak under that $5 mark. Let's see how long it's going to be here, though. $4, $4.48, $4.93, $4.99, $5. So literally the first page, it's already going to be gone. This card will probably sit, though, in this mid-range here, like $5 to $7, usually $6 type thing. So this is another one of those cards where I'll say if you could get it for $5 or less, I would pull the trigger. I think it's a good buy, not a great buy, and it all adds up. I'm shipping a bunch of cards. I made like a $2 or $3 profit on each one of them. That's $10. You know, that's like a hot and ready nowadays. But that's fine. It all adds up. It all adds up after a while. You can't really scale this, because as soon as, there's not really a lot of people with a lot of these cards. And as soon as you get to the second page, you're at 547 at 17, right? It's like no longer even a penny stock. So I think it's a decent card, though, that I think wouldn't be a terrible investment, but I wouldn't like just go, 100,000% into it, right? Let's take a look too. At the versions of this card. So that's over $10. So we can't really talk about that one. So let's just look at the penny stock version one. There's a lot. 155 listings, 59, 16, 164. At about that 350 mark, 348, 347. This person, Absolve Gaming, that's selling. I mean, they're also selling it for 347, or I guess 347, 447, 348. I don't know what math I'm doing. I'm doing some wild math right now. I'm sorry, because it's mostly 350 though, right? We're skipping dollars to pinch pennies. I don't know if this is necessarily speaking a great buy. But once again, all adds up. And if you can scale it, this person is selling 59 at $3.49. You sell them all at $3.50. That's 59-cent profit right there. So can't complain about all that. But I wanted to really take a look at this card. Good old Allure of Darkness. Oh, that's right. Just got a reprint. Did I pull that version? I think I pulled that card. A lot of Allure of Darknesses. This card's really good. Like, this card, sometimes it's wild because sometimes you can banish, like Tri-Brigade McCourier, for example. Like, sometimes you can banish a card off of this card and just get insane value. But even if not, just getting rid of a dark monster in your hand that you don't really need, and then drawing 2 cards is just insane value. A lot of the more meta dark decks are very good at gaining that value, like Dark World, like Danger, like Bestials can gain advantage really quickly. So Allure of Darkness is always going to be a great buy. Now, when we look at the price high to low, I think that's a very important thing because this does have a lot of common reprints with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 common reprints, with the Speed Duel Decks version actually being the winner. But because I think that is due to the fact that before the one that just came out, Speed Duel GX Duelist of the Shadows, before that came out, the only Speed Duel version of Allure of Darkness was the Twisted Nightmares version. And the Twisted Nightmares Speed Duel deck is pretty solid for Speed Duel decks. And then obviously the OTS tournament pack is next. OTS packs are always like that, but I really wanted to take a look at the non-commons, like this Dark Saviors version. And I forget which version brought us here. Brothers of Legend, okay. The Dark Saviors version. Brothers of Legend version is next. And then there's obviously Destiny Soldiers, Phantom Darkness, Raging Battle, Speed Duel Tournament Pack 3, right? So when we look at Dark Saviors, relatively decent. I guess we could just switch it like this. We can go back over here, see which one's the best selling and the second best selling. So right now the second best selling is that Speed Duels version 1. Because even though Speed Duels really aren't that popular, because of the Speed Duel restriction of you can't use other cards. Like if you want to play Speed Duel format officially, you have to get Speed Duel official cards. Like you can use Speed Duel cards in a regular Yu-Gi-Oh deck, but you can't use regular Yu-Gi-Oh cards in a Speed Duel deck. That's kind of how they try to balance it, right? And when we look at the Dark Saviors version, which is the cheapest non-common, it's all the way down here as far as how it's selling. So I don't think it's the greatest buy, but you're probably safe. Like if you want an upgraded version of Allure of Darkness, you can get 3 copies for $9 near mint unlims of the Dark Saviors version. But when we look at the Brothers of Legend version, first off, it is a little bit. I feel like ultra rares are higher rarities than supers, so it's a little bit of a higher rarity, but it's cheaper. It is actually cheaper, but for how long? Right, as we see, it is now one of the better selling Allure of Darknesses. Allure of Darkness is tricky because it is always going to be worth $2 to $4, at least $2, because it's such a popular card. There's so many dark archetypes that need to run this card, but at most $4 because there are a lot of printings of it, and it does get a little strange sometimes. So there are certain hand states where you're like, man, I wish I didn't have Allure of Darkness, but I think it's a decent card. I don't know if it's a fantastic card, but I think it's a decent buy, especially the Brothers of Legend version. Like, you could make a very solid argument, even the Super Heavy Samurai card. Every card that we see on this first page is a good buy, just because it's one of the best-selling cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! But let me know what you guys think. What are the best-selling cards on a $5 or less that you were interested in? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys click that like button, show your support for the channel, subscribe for more content. But most importantly of all, have a good day.